So it's 5 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and Governor Healy's March 29, 2023 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting was conducted both in person and via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and our parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. Committee members and members of the public may attend the meeting in person or remotely. Every effort will be made to ensure that those attending remotely can access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A Section 20F, notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body, or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. So this meeting is being recorded by CTSB and by the town of Great Barrington.
I'm also recording.
And being recorded by the Berkshire Edge. The listing of agenda items, those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So let's start with select board time. Ben? Garfield?
Nothing.
Eric?
Nothing, thanks.
Lee? And the only thing I have is just a calendar, just an update. So in April, we have meetings, regularly scheduled meetings on the 8th and 29th. On the town meeting calendar that comes out when we do the budget and get ready for town meeting, there is a meeting listed for April 22nd. And I hope everyone has that on their calendar, because that's when we'll approve the warrant. So just check, make sure you're all available the 22nd. It is the first night of Passover, so it's not perfect, but.
I have it on there.
Okay,
Yeah, awesome.
all set. Yep, Ben.
Yep.
Okay, so we're all set. We will meet the 8th, the 22nd and 29th in April. Okay, to go into executive session. Under MGL Chapter 38, Section 21A3 for the following purpose, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, which I do declare. Motion, please.
I move that the board meet in executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A3 for the following purpose. To discuss strategy with respect to litigation, Housatonic Water Works Company rate increase petition at the Department of Public Utilities, DPU number 23 through 65.
Second.
So I have a motion, a second, it's a roll call. Ben?
Aye.
Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. So there's plenty of seats out there. We won't leave you out there longer than we have to. Sorry. We'll call you when we're done.
Dollars in Texas. Okay. Is everyone here for all those minutes? You guys looked at the minutes, right?
Yes.
You're not recusing yourself or anything?
No.
Okay, we're back in public session. We're unmuted, the video's on, we're being recorded. Let's start with the approval of minutes. And just so the board knows, I think you do, but I'll preach to the choir. We can move along on our agenda except for the public hearings. They have to be after 6 o'clock because that's when they were advertised. So we will be moving around a little bit. So approval of minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes, Select Board and Finance Committee Budget Meeting number 3 on February 13th, 2024. The Select Board Finance Committee Budget Meeting number 4 on February 14th, 2024. the Select Board Finance Committee Budget Meeting 5 on February 20th, 2024. And the Finance Committee FY 25 Public Hearing and Select Board Joint Budget Meeting on February 28th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Sorry, Bill, I actually didn't see you leave.
Forgot to close that.
Town manager's report.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, town manager's report. Okay.
Okay, so I have, two brief updates tonight. First is Houstonic Waterworks. I just wanted to mention publicly that there's still no word on when those earmark, when that earmark funding will arrive. And it's not for lack of trying. I am in constant and regular communication with, the finance office at DEP. But as soon as the reimbursement wire does hit our account from DEP, we'll begin issuing those checks. It'll be about a week to two turnaround. At that point, we'll have those checks on the very next vendor warrant. So as of today, about 100 applicants have applied and been cleared by the town staff and our small group of volunteers reviewing those applications. And I also wanted to mention for anyone that have not applied yet, there's still plenty of time. There's no rush. The funding is available until 2026, and we're not even close to exhausting it at this point. So, second update I have for this evening: board, committee, and commission vacancies. I just wanted to mention that on the homepage of our website, there's a tab titled Committee Vacancies on the left-hand side. There are a number of vacancies on boards and committees at the moment, and we're just waiting for the right person to step forward and express interest. So please, anyone that's looking to get involved, take a look at that tab. I think there's something for just about everyone there. In particular, I wanted to mention that we have 2 seats available on the Housing Authority right now. One appointed seat by this board until the next election, and then there's a governor's seat that's also available at this time. The Houstonic Improvement Committee has a vacancy, the Conservation Commission, Commission on Disabilities. There are 2 historic commissions, and there are several other boards and committees all looking for interested members. So if anyone has any questions, reach out to my office, and we're happy to help. That's all I have.
Thank you. Licenses and permits, seasonal club, all alcoholic liquor license renewal for Wyantna Country Club. If someone is here from any of these groups, raise your hand and we'll recognize you.
Jennings.
Yeah, I think so.
And your mic is open.
Danny, you're,
Yes,
This is
I'm here.
Lisa.
Can you hear me?
I just want to make sure if anybody has any questions. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the seasonal club all alcoholic liquor license renewal for the Wyantna Country Club.
Second.
Discussion, questions?
Anything different this year than previous?
Nothing different.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you
so
very
now
much.
We have Barrington Fish and Game, the applicant, there's a number of these. We'll do one at a time since they are listed one at a time. Application for 1-day liquor license, beer and wine. Jessica Eichstead, Great Barrington Fish and Game Association Benefit Shoot, 338 Long Pond Road, Housatonic, April 7th, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Come on. Is that? Jessica, the ones that are open to the public, if you want to get a little free advertising, give a couple sentences of what they are, that's great.
Yeah, they're all open,
Okay.
except for the wedding.
Yeah.
The first one is a benefit shoot for a local person who just had a heart transplant. And we're doing like a benefit shoot, and all proceeds, whatever we make goes to her for transportation that they stay once a week for her treatment. We're doing raffles up there. Should be a nice turnout for her.
Right, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the application for a 1-day liquor license, beer and wine to the Great Barrington Fish and Game Association on April 7th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
I'll second that.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Next one is the same, except this is for a private wedding. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the application for a one-day liquor license to the Great Barrington Fish and Game Association on April 20th, 24, from 2 PM to 10 PM.
For a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. I assume the next one, the graduation gathering, is that a private one also? Okay, so do I have the next one?
I make a motion to approve the application for a one-day liquor license to the Great Barrington Fish and Game Association on June 8th, 2024, from 11 AM to 6 PM.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. You want to tell us about the Father's Day lobster shoot?
Our Father's Day last year, that's our annual one we have every year, open to the public. Usually it's a good turnout, a lot of fun, people win raffles, a lot of people win big lobsters, like 2 pounds of lobster. It's usually a nice long day and fun.
Do they run fast?
We're usually happy with it.
This is actually a shoot, though.
Yeah, we do shoot.
Shooting lobsters.
So we don't shoot.
I make a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for beer and wine to the Great Barrington Fish and Game Association on June 16th, 2024, from 11 AM to 6 PM.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much. Is someone here from Sunset Rock? Great, come on up. It's the application for a temporary weekday entertainment license, Karen Adcock, Bard Colleges at Simon's Rock, ride and drive, vendors, food truck and exhibition of electric vehicles, 84 Alford Road on June 8th from 10 AM to 2 PM. Want to give a little,
An electric vehicle ride and drive is where, Simon's Rock, along with Recharge America, one of our partners in this, would gather hopefully about a dozen electric vehicles from their dealerships with dealership representatives. Invite people to the campus and give them a chance to take a brief test drive to sort of, increase electric vehicle uptake throughout the community and all over.
okay. Do I have a motion?
I like the question.
Yeah.
What's set route? What is that?
I believe it's that there will be a set route for the test drives. They will leave campus and there's still some discussion. We are in coordination with the police department and with our vendor partners at Recharge America, but there will be a set route, so the cars won't just be randomly driving all over town. They will be going on about a 5-minute loop from the Simon's Rock campus.
There will be a police presence at some point or here or around there?
Well, we plan to reach out to the police chief and sort of make sure he's cool with the route. But we were assured that the planning board who oversees these before they get to you would let us know if they had any objections to the route.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to mention that the police chief is a member of the DRT team and didn't express any concerns, so. we're good.
Just state your name for the record.
My name is Jason Moretti.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the temporary weekday entertainment license to Bard College at Simon's Rock for the ride and drive on June 8th, 2024, from 10 AM to 2 PM.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Just a quick. I'm trying to get a feel of the map and the photocopy is a little rough. Are you just using the bathrooms in the deck or do you have porta potties?
Oh, bathrooms in it.
Just bathrooms in the deck, okay, and that's accessible and.
Yeah, the deck is fully accessible. It's a relatively new building.
Relatively. I was there when it opened, which makes me feel, sorry.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you so much. Okay, I think Chrissy's on that.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, you're recusing
Recuse
yourself.
myself, Steve.
Yeah, Eric's recusing himself. Application from Common or Garden Pub, 425 Park Street. Housatonic for a common vic and automatic amusement device licenses. Chrissy, do you want to just give a brief overview of what this is for?
Hi,
Those are-
yes, can you guys hear me okay?
Very good.
Great. Yeah, so this is just like the final step I need to take. I got the approval from the health department. Rebecca came, I think it was Friday of last week. So just applying for the common vic now, and then I have one pool table that's coin operated, so it was requested that I submit this application as well.
Perfect. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the application from the Common or Garden Fund for a common victualler and automatic amusement device license.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion, a second. Any questions or comments?
Only comment is that, full disclosure, I was there on Wednesday for the opening night and very excited, for this and for everyone at this tonic for coming and for Garden to be open. So, great.
Oh,
I was
thank you.
there
That's
too.
so nice.
Good
And
job.
yes, Lee, I saw you. Thank you guys so much. Hope to see you
Good
soon.
job. Good luck.
All
Amazing.
in
Thanks,
favor?
guys.
Bye.
It's
Bye.
unanimous? Thank you. Chris.
I don't know about that.
Okay. Shuffle the papers around and see where we're going next.
So you-
New business. Oh yeah, we got Eric in the hall.
We didn't tell you to come back.
I didn't hear that.
So let's do the request from the Mass Product Stewardship Council for a resolution in support of paint stewardship.
Okay, thank all.
No.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So I commend you on your efficiency. This is way earlier than I was expecting this to come up. So I will try to.
Doesn't happen often.
I will try to continue in that vein. So I presume you've all gotten a copy of the resolution of the paint flyer that shows that we're up to about 118, 120 towns at this point who have either endorsed or done the more formal recommendations. In fact, I think we hit 38 the other day. We expect to hit 40 by the end of the week and deliver a handful of these to leadership at the legislature. So I'm going to back up for just a second to mention that product stewardship is the overall concept that says that anybody that touches a product anywhere from mining the original raw materials or cutting down the trees or whatever, through making the product, through selling the product, using the product, buying the product, using the product through end of life, has some responsibility for that product, but that the primary financial responsibility for the product at end of life ought to reside with the producer, who has some control over how the thing is manufactured, what goes into it, are there toxics, etc. Product stewardship comes in both mandatory and voluntary forms. The mandatory form, the legislative form, is known as extended producer responsibility, or EPR. And what you have in front of you today is a resolution hoping to convince the state legislature that the time for this paint legislation is now. This is the 7th session in which it's been introduced, and there is really no serious opposition, but there's 6,400 bills up there, and we're only going to save the city, the state about $2 million, and that's not enough to get up to their attention. So this is the method we're doing, is to get to tell them that there are a lot of towns and an awful lot of residents who would be really happy to have this. It's much more convenient for residents. And just to back up, what it basically does is when you buy a new can of paint, you'll pay an extra 75 cents or $1 on a gallon. That goes to an organization called Paint Care, which is a nonprofit formed by the paint industry, who is fully supportive of this after many years of not being. They are now lobbying with us to try to get this passed. They then take care of the paint at end of life through voluntary relationships with sometimes transfer stations, but mostly with retailers. So you'll find that the big box stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, they're not going to participate, but they're neutral. They're not going to fight it either. The little retailers like it. It brings in foot traffic that otherwise might have gone to the big box stores. And while you're there, maybe you'll buy a paintbrush. But as a resident, you've got a bunch of stuff in your basement. You don't know how to get rid of it. You don't know if it's oil-based or latex. You don't want to have to go to this once a year household hazardous waste day and either pay for it or have your municipality pay for it. I'm not sure how Great Barrington handles it, but you would be saving that money or the resident would be saving that money. And it doesn't matter where you bought it. It's not like they do with nickel deposits, it only takes the ones you bought from here. Anything that you've got, including the legacy paint, would be accepted. You walk in, you say, hi, I've got this paint. They say, fine, set it on the counter. Thanks very much. Have a nice day. And you're done. And the residents love it. It is right now operational in 11 states and the District of Columbia, including Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, Vermont, and Maine. You'll notice there's a little hole in the middle of New England. That's us and New Hampshire, and it's time that we fixed that. So with that very brief overview, I would be happy to answer questions.
Any questions?
We do subsidize our household hazardous waste day here through our public works department, so in theory, this would reduce that budget line for us.
Oh,
Great.
Do I have a motion?
thank you for your advocacy. I move to approve the resolution in support of the paint stewardship legislation.
Second.
Discussion, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much, Meg.
Excellent. Would you, I don't know if you're going to send it in directly, but whether you do or not, would you please make sure that either I or Tom gets a copy of your signed resolution?
Yes.
Yes, we will.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Good timing. Request from the VFW to close a portion of Main Street, Great Barrington on Monday, May 27th, beginning at 11 a.m. for Memorial Day Parade. Yeah, please, just come up and want to tell us a little bit what's going on? In full disclosure, I've gone to some of the meetings at least.
So we've just been gathering for like the last 2 months. On Saturday, we put a parade committee together with our veterans and along with Housatonic, VFW, Great Barrington, VFW, and a lot of the community. We've come together to see if we can do a parade. Because
The question that may be asked here is no parade in Housatonic. There'll be a memorial service in Housatonic, but the Housatonic vets would like to wait a year before they do another parade.
right.
So that's their choice, as it was their choice not to have a parade at all last year on either side of town. So any questions for him?
I'm thrilled that it's coming back, so thank you
Yes.
for all the
Yes,
work that goes into this.
Yeah, we all are. This is great.
Yeah.
Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the request from the VFW to close a portion of Main Street in Great Barrington on Monday, May 27th, beginning at 11 a.m. for Memorial Day Parade.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Yes, I don't know if everyone would know who you are, so maybe you might want to tell them, give yourself a
I
little.
thought everyone.
Credit.
You're right.
Well, I know, but other people may not know. I know.
My mistake.
Valerie Angel, and I'm the general manager at the Great Barrington VFW.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All,
Oh, sorry, just to kind of continue to promote, are you expecting to kind of have, I know in the past, like bike riding or opportunities for other members of the community outside of veterans to be involved?
We've contacted the different schools, so we've actually have 60 posters made up already of veterans that we're hoping to get the community's children involved, and they'll actually be carrying the signs.
Great.
So, and then we're gonna actually do a community picnic after, try to get everybody to come back to the VFW, and we're gonna have old fashioned like games for the kids. We're gonna do sack races and all that kind of stuff.
Very
fantastic.
That sounds like
If
fun.
there's anything we can do to help promote it through our social media pages, just let me know.
Thank you. That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill.
all in favor?
Yeah,
Aye.
aye.
Unanimous. We'll see you Saturday.
Will there be any ice cream and donuts?
Okay, town comments to EPAGE Pittsfield Housatonic River Site Quality of Life Compliance Plan. Do you want to just read that?
Sure, so I'd like to read this, and I thank for the board for the time and listening to this, and especially for Chris Rembold, who's put this together. This is a very, very important topic that many towns are faced with, and particularly the town of Lee. And I think that it's incumbent for us to support the towns. And with the comments due at the end of this month, I felt that was very, very important that the town of Great Barrington join in with the other towns and show our support. Before I begin, I'd like to also mention that there is another meeting coming up on Wednesday, April 3rd at Lee Middle and High School. where the EPA will be hosting another meeting. The first meeting was in November. That was very important. I attended that, and I would urge Great Barrington to stand behind the town of Lee, particularly. So again, that's on Wednesday, April 3rd at the Lee Middle High School, where the EPA will be addressing the transportation plan and the quality of life compliance plan. So I'd like to read the letter that has drafted that will be sent to the EPA to express our comments. The letter is as follows. Dear EPA, the town of Great Barrington Select Board has reviewed the above referenced quality of life compliance plan and offers the following comments. As a general comment, while this plan is a statewide plan and more detailed plans will be developed for each remediation unit to address the specific approach for the remediation at the location, EPA's attention to this plan is critical because it will be a framework for those future plans. This plan is an important opportunity to identify and plan for the broad scope of quality of life impacts that may arise from the rest of river remediation. The plan should include a requirement to identify, assess, and address visual impacts. The current draft plan focuses on parameters of air, quality, noise, odor, and lighting. There are additional parameters of interest and concern to the community, including aesthetic impacts to the natural environment, such as trees, riverbanks, and river features. In Great Barrington, for example, the western banks of Rising Pond are particularly beautiful. Therefore, we look forward to reviewing GE-specific plans to avoid widespread aesthetic impacts to the banks, riverside, forests, and bald eagle nests during the remediation of the Rising Pond. The plan should include a description of how GE will continue to maintain open and transparent communication with residents and landowners to ensure the ultimate remedial action achieves the landowner's expectations. The plan should include an assessment of specific air quality, odor, noise, or light events, in addition to averaging approach described. The process of averaging dilutes the result from a single event, giving a false impression that these events are not harmful. For instance, a single burst of noise can yield harm and should therefore be acknowledged. Furthermore, analysis of event-specific noise results would help determine time periods and associate activities that yield the most problematic conditions. This isolation of the data would assist GE in amending their work activities with this event-specific data, and thus avoid practices that are disturbing events, as well as those practices that could cause harm and stress over time. The plan's air quality monitoring program should be as robust as possible and should include sampling of dust for total PCB analysis, as well as the sampling of particulate matter. The plan should also ensure that EPA and/or other independent agencies monitor the data for accuracy and precision. We appreciate that the plan indicates that GE will work cooperatively with each rest of river municipality and with the state to facilitate the enhancement of recreational activities such as river access for canoeing and other water activities prior to completion of remediation in each work area. This plan or future discussions should also include, where necessary, the plans for accessibility across over existing barriers like railroad tracks or steep slopes in order to safely access the river recreation points. The plan should be required to be amended to accommodate any lessons learned as each remediation work area is undertaken and accomplished, in keeping with the adaptive management approach required by EPA. Finally, the plan should recognize that what it is quality of life to one community at one point in time may in fact change over the long life of the remediation process as community composition and events and attitudes evolve, and that the plan may need to be updated over the long life of the rest of the river remediation. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the proposed quality of life compliance plan, and thank you for providing technical assistance services to communities to the rest of the river municipalities. Sincerely, the Great Barrington Select Board. I'd also just like to note that the quality of life compliance plan, this rest of the river remediation is going to take between 10 and 15 years. And it's something that once it starts, we can't go back and say, hey, we should have done this, we should have done this. This is a moment in time that we really need to focus as a region and support the towns that are burdened the most, which is Lee, and Lennoxdale and obviously Stockbridge. We are gonna see trucks possibly coming through our roads for years and years and years. Through Housatonic, down Main Street in Stockbridge, throughout the main street of Lee. We have schools affected, we have communities affected, we have kids. Tourism is gonna be affected. The local economy is gonna be affected. So this is the time that we really need to stand up and submit our comments. So the comments on this particular plan are due at the end of this month. So I would recommend that, you know, members of Great Barrington, this board also submit their additional comments as individuals to get behind this. This is the time, and I will say again on April 4th, I believe, was it April 4th? At the middle school in Lee, that we do support the town of Lee, and we listen to the presentation and we get behind this. We need to hold GE accountable for what has happened, and this is the time that we can actually step up and submit our comments. So I urge this board and members of the community that are listening, whether from Great Barrington or other members in the Berkshires, to please support this and to join us in April at the it's actually April 3rd, Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Lee Middle and High School. So thank you very much for your time.
Do you have a motion to endorse the town's comments to the EPA, GE, Pittsfield, Housatonic River Site Quality of Life Compliance Plan?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Finally, under new business, I need have a motion to rescind the original recommendation this board made or to put on the town meeting warrant the community impact funding.
I move that the select board rescind the vote taken on Wednesday, February 28th, 2024, supporting a special article in the amount of $1.5 million of cannabis community impact funding for consideration at the annual town meeting on May 6th, 2024, and to direct staff to remove that article from the warrant at this time.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, it is 6 o'clock now, so we can then go to the public hearings. First one, can I have a motion on the special permit 94224, which we are going to continue until April 8th?
I move that we continue until April 8th, with special permit application from Bear Mountain 320 Properties, Timberlawn Heights Care Center.
It'll be April 8th at 6 p.m. at the town hall and virtually. Do I have a second? Discussion? This was at the request of the applicant. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay.
Mrs. Jones.
Okay. Special permit 941-24, application for Community Development Corporation of Southern Berkshire, Phil Ornstein, interim executive director, to permit a hotel use at 453 Stockbridge Road, also known as the Thornwood Inn. Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. I would like to note that I have filed a disclosure of appearance of conflict of interest. I work for a nonprofit in affordable housing, and just letting everyone know that I have filed this one.
Thanks. Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And aye. It's unanimous. We have an explanation of the project.
I'm Phil Ornstein, the interim executive director of the Community Development Corporation of South Berkshire. You probably are aware of this project, we've been in the public eye for quite a while on it. We received funding from the Community Preservation Committee, but we are seeking to purchase Thornwood Inn at the north end of town and to reuse it as workforce housing going forward. The reason why we're here for a special permit is that as we've learned that over the course of the last several months, the permitting history of the property, it's well described by our council through Wikowski as somewhat opaque. The inn has been operating for over 40 years as an inn, small hotel, but it's not the actual special permit relating to its operation was unable to be found. So as part of our financial closing and providing appropriate documentation to our mortgage lender, we're seeking to basically confirm its status as a hotel, as a small hotel, for the purposes of the documentation. So as you probably are aware, we're not proposing any change of use of the property. Property has been operating as a hotel. It will be continuing to operate as a hotel, just under a different ownership.
Chris, do you want to add anything? Stay right there, Phil. I'm sure we may need you.
Is there any, do you have any particular question for me, Steve? Or at this point, I'll just let the applicant make their request and their case.
Okay.
Unless you anything to clarify anything, please feel free. I'm here.
Thank you. Public comments and questions to speak in favor or opposition. Questions from the select board.
With the scope of this, any plans for any additional construction on the property, or they're just kind of restoring what's currently there? Or?
Well, the property now has a total of 15 rooms. Our plan is to add an additional 2 or 3 rooms, really. One is by renovation of one room. And we're going to be adding 2 additional rooms by taking some of a portion of the public space on the main floor and converting it into 2 additional rooms. That's it.
Straight handicap, accessible as well.
Well, we're working through that now, but yes, we're going to be complying with those rules and have some small number of rules handicapping. So small number of rooms handicap accessible to the greatest extent possible.
What's a small number?
1 or 2. The building will not be ADA compliant. We're buying an existing property and continuing its current use. So we're not going to be bringing it up to full ADA compliance. That being said, we hope to have 1 or 2 rooms which will be handicap accessible.
And who will be managing?
We're in the process of hiring a third-party property manager to manage the property.
And
so
who's
they'll be
that?
responsible for maintaining the grounds, managing all the guest accounts, providing maintenance and oversight.
Will they be handling the applications in
Yes.
terms of,
Yes.
and who is that?
So yes, so they'll be doing all the income certifications, is probably what you're asking. They'll be to make sure that the residents there are complying with the agreements with respect to their income and obviously how much monthly rate they're paying.
What is the name of that management group?
Berkshire Property Managers.
Anyone else?
Yeah, you mentioned, I guess if you can just clarify, you say it's gonna be ran as a hotel, so is it?
Right, so what that means as a practical matter is that the lease arrangements for each of the rooms will have a maximum period of 30 days. So residents will stay there really on a month-to-month basis.
Okay.
So they can envision them staying as long as they like, as long as they continue to comply with the income requirements. But they can stay 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. But the commitment is on a month-to-month basis.
Chris, just for clarification, that people don't know, under our zoning, this has to be considered a hotel, correct?
Well, I think, Steve, what you may be asking is multi-unit residential use allowed in this particular zone? And no, the zoning doesn't allow that per se, but it does allow for a special permit possibility for a hotel up to 45 rooms. This is similar to what other housing groups in the area have considered doing with old hotels, using them for housing, short-term housing. It may not be a traditional hotel. People may be there for more than just one night. They may be there for several weeks. Whether it's at the Comfort Inn or the Marriott or the Travel Lodge, this is just one more example. It's just that the applicant, the proposed owner here, is seeking to do it in part for affordable housing purposes and workforce housing purposes.
Thank you, Chris. Go ahead, Lynn.
Has Berkshire Property Managers, have they had experience with low-income housing in terms of dealing with applications and vetting renters to make sure that?
That's not their focus right now. The principal of the firm has a background in that area, has various certifications relating to affordable housing properties. So he's very much aware of what needs to be done, and we're obviously going to be very mindful of what needs to be done.
So will there be oversight, like will the CDC be, since this management company hasn't really done this before in terms of vetting the clients, will you be providing oversight to make sure that they are?
Well, yeah, we'll own the building, so we'll be providing oversight and everything.
But they'll be screening the tenants and checking
I mean,
their
we need
income.
you need to do this in size and quantity.
Mhm.
We have up to 18 residents there. So we need to have the staff available, and the software platform to manage all these accounts and all these income certifications in a proper way. But, we're owning the building, so we're not going anywhere. So we're still going to be overseeing the process, and we know that we need to come back to the town, we're using the town's money. We need to come back to the town and say we've done this the right way. So that's the mindset that we have.
Okay, in our packet, there's comments from other boards. There's affirmative from the Board of Health, from the Planning Board, and Conservation Commission. So that was in our packet. First, do you want to take us through the general findings?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. I think it's a good idea to do that now before you close the public hearing, in case there's anything you'd like to discuss in more detail with the applicant while the applicant can still speak, and obviously while the public can still ask questions, clarifying questions, or whether you might need more information submitted for the record. So good idea to do it now before you close the hearing. The findings in your packet include some statements as to the general findings, and then it goes into the regular special permit findings. As I said, this is a zoning district where hotels are allowed up to 45 rooms. And as the applicant stated in the presentation, it's being used as a hotel now. But there is in fact no special permit on file that we can find that allows for that hotel use. So as the applicant stated, they're seeking to clarify that. So seeking to get a special permit for a hotel use at this property. There's certainly enough facilities on the site to serve the proposed use. You'll note that the applicant, as they stated and as written here, does propose to increase the number of rooms for rent. But the water and sewer service there should be absolutely no problem based on the experience of the property being used as a hotel plus restaurant plus an owner's quarters. So the general findings here lay out those existing uses and then the applicant's proposed uses, and make some findings as to the parking situation, the traffic, the access, utilities, etc. Are there any questions on the general findings, what the applicant's proposal is, or or anything else about the property?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay, great. Should we, under the special permit findings, as I said, there's just the usual 6. There's no special conditions here to be required for hotels or anything specific to the zoning district. The draft here in your packet, which I always say you can take or leave, depending on what you find and what you and your discussion conclude. So in this case, the discussion regarding social, economic, or community needs discusses the need for workforce housing and the applicant's proposal to provide that in this location, albeit as a hotel use. Their goal, as stated in the application, is that this would be workforce housing. Is there anything there that needs more clarification or discussion with the applicant?
No, I'm not saying anything.
Okay, and we can go through these later and talk about whether or not you agree or disagree. How about traffic flow and safety? Anything there that raises questions or anything you need more information about?
I guess I got a question about that as far as, I know there's always that back exit and that's gonna be used more significantly, I would assume. I don't know, like with a traffic study, what they figure the traffic difference would be with the current application. I understand they're both hotel use, but to the new one, do we feel the need to make it more of an exit off of onto 183 as opposed to Route 7? Route 7 we know is very fast and high traffic zone.
A question for me or for Chris?
Whoever would like to answer it.
Chris, do you want to take a stab at it? Okay.
I will just say that it has not come up in staff review or in the planning board's review of the proposal, but if it is a question or concern, I do encourage you to discuss it with the applicant now.
Yeah.
Remember, they had a restaurant there which had more traffic. This is
Yeah.
mostly less traffic.
I was actually gonna ask, do you have any of the numbers of like the current usage or, a rough idea of what will be moving from in its use as a hotel and restaurant to just 18 to 20 apartments?
Well, I'll make a few comments. David Thorne is here, so I'm gonna let him comment as well. But, again, we're not changing the use of the property. It's been there for 40 years. It currently has 15 rooms. In the past, it's had 15 rooms plus a fairly large restaurant, which is no longer operation. And then they also had an array of functions there, funerals, weddings, Rotary meetings. So the property has been a high-use property for decades. And as best we can understand, there's really no history of problems traffic-wise. There are 2 entrances, which is very helpful. You can enter on 183 or you can enter on 7. And we're certainly going to be communicating that to our residents that depending on which way they're going, one is better than the other. But that's my take on it. And David, you want to comment?
If you're, excuse my ignorance, I don't know where that entrance or exit is on 183.
It's not an obvious one. I mean, everyone more familiar with the entrance on Route 7. But just on the other side, basically towards Taft Farm, on the backside of the Thornwood is another driveway entrance. So you could exit the property and drive out on 183.
Is it a paved driveway?
No, it's different. It's different.
It's different.
Yeah, but it's passable. I use it a lot.
It's a gravel driveway, a dirt driveway. I mean, the reason not to pave it is because then it'll create water flow down on the road there in torrential rains.
Yeah.
So everything's a bit of a trade-off. But we're certainly going to be encouraging people to use that and maintaining it so it can be used.
Sounds good. Yeah, I guess I was just curious if that had come up. Cause
No,
Route 7 is hectic and we have unfortunately, a number of accidents there. So
No,
I was just assuming to try to encourage people coming and going from that section, because that is also the way when it was a restaurant outgoing.
No, we've discussed this topic at length.
Yeah.
We're very aware of it. I've obviously driven there many times myself.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have that same sort of elevation problem that you have, further north, where the incidents have occurred. So you actually have a pretty clear view, in my opinion.
And let me add to that, in the 41 years that we've been there, there's been no major accidents. There was one school bus accident where the woman had a heart attack and drove into the lane. We happened to be in the spot where that happens. But other than that, we've had no real incidences.
Other questions around traffic flow, safety, parking and loading?
I'm sorry, who was speaking?
That was David Thorne.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move to the next one.
Utilities and public services. It's served by private well and public sewer. Any questions on any of these points? More information needed?
No, I'm not seeing any.
Neighborhood character and social structures. I think, well, I'm not sure what else to say. It's a use that's been there in the neighborhood for a long time. So I'm the proposed use is really not much different than what's going there on there now.
Not seeing any questions. Did I lose first? I'll give it a second and we can go through the next sheet. It's not the most difficult special permit.
I'll keep that.
Okay, so the next one is impacts on the natural environment. And as it says, there's no tree clearing, construction or paving proposed.
I do have questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's 2.5 acres. How much buildable land is there if in the future you decide to use some of the other land? And are there any thoughts about building?
An important point is that, that narrow triangular space, that if you're familiar with the property on the south end, we are not purchasing that property. That is staying with David Thorne.
Okay.
So we are simply buying the north side, which is primarily, the gardens surrounding the end, obviously the structures. And then there's some open property on the north end towards the far side, where the parking area is. We're of the view that there definitely is some buildable space in the back beyond the parking area. So in our whiteboard of ideas, depending on how things go, depending on the demand for these types of units, we might consider building tiny homes and small cottages back there. But that's just off into the future.
And not part of this application.
Not part of this application.
Just to be clear. Chris, are you back?
I am sorry, my computer
Okay.
decided it needed a brain transplant, and that means I don't have my documents in front of me. And
Okay.
I'll turn it over to you, Steve. I'm happy to fill in.
Okay, that's fine. So we're on number 6 now, which is potential fiscal impact, including impact on sound services, tax base and employment. This one does have an impact on the town because CSB is a non-taxable nonprofit organization. Questions on this?
So it's taking that off the box.
It's taking that part off the tax rules.
Well, let me comment on that. And again, I'll qualify my comments by recognizing I'm a bit conflicted on this particular topic of tax revenue to the town. But hopefully this paragraph hopefully communicates the fact that we will be applying to the assessor's office for a reduction in taxes owed. There's been no discussions historically. We don't own the building yet. So those discussions haven't taken place, but we certainly will be approaching the assessor's office some point in the future with a request for what I'll call a significant reduction in taxes paid. Because big picture, this will be run as a standalone nonprofit. So, you know, to the extent our property taxes are reduced, that will allow us to maintain, monthly rates for the units at a lower level. And vice versa, if we pay the current assessed tax, running that through our budget, we'll have to charge higher rates for the rooms. So it's hopefully very simple and transparent how we're approaching that.
Do you have a question?
You will still pay hotel room taxes and sewer fees, so.
That's correct. Long story short, when residents stay for up to 3 months, they owe those taxes. Once they stay longer for 3 months, if that's up to them, then those taxes are not applicable. And they would be refunded that amount.
Question.
So, and this might be a question for the assessor, but if you were to use the buildable land that doesn't have any buildings on it right now, and that is market rate, how would that work into the play? Let's say, you know, you do end up using the buildable land and use that to offset the low income rooms.
Well, it's a good question, but you've laid a couple of hypotheticals.
Yeah,
together.
I guess that would be something that we would have to bring to.
I can answer that. Well, let me make one point. Right now, our agreement with the Community Preservation Committee is that there's going to be a handful of rooms, specifically 3, where we have the option to charge more of the market rate. The intent there is simply to basically use that income to subsidize the rent, the unit costs on the other rooms, which would be more directed towards individuals with lower median income, or lower incomes. So it's not if we charge market rate on a handful of units, the idea is not to generate a profit that's distributed to investors. The idea is to have it subsidize the overall operations of the property.
Thank you. Peter, do you want to introduce yourself and go to the microphone?
Peter Pusilowski, I'm the attorney for
Just go to the microphone, please.
CDC.
Yep.
I apologize for being late.
You want to just take a double hypothetical and answer?
Yeah, the assessing statute says that if any portion of the property is used for commercial purposes, then that part stays on the tax rolls. So the issue is going to be whether the additional units are used consistent with the charitable purpose or just to generate income. If it's consistent, then they can come off the tax rolls. If it's at commercial rates, then it will likely stay on the tax rolls. An example is the building CDC bought downtown, where the first floor is commercial space. We've applied for an exemption for the upper floors, but since the first floor is rented at commercial rates, that will stay on the tax roll.
Thank you. So any other questions on that? Section number 6. So findings, while the proposal will remove the property from the real estate tax rolls, the select board finds this detriment is more than offset by the workforce housing benefits to be provided under the proposal. The proposal will create 18 residential opportunities, which will help meet the urgent need for more low-cost housing opportunities. In consideration of these findings, the select board finds that the benefits of the proposal outweigh the detrimental impacts. Anybody have any comments on that?
I guess I got a question, just as far as, I know you've mentioned it before, but can you remind me of what we feel the workforce housing rates will be there?
Sure. So, right now, the rates we're targeting is 1,050 to 1,400 for the units. The units vary in size.
Per month.
Per month, yes, I'm sorry, per month, yeah, per month. 1,050 to 1,400 per month for the unit, so it's an average of about 1,200. The units vary in size, so it'll be based on the size. And that amount actually, what's important, that amount includes all utilities and internet. So the average of that over the course of the year, that's roughly $100.
And then is the high end number there 14? Is that the one, are those the apartments that you said, the CPC?
That is those are certainly the larger rooms.
Yeah.
But that is still, that's still priced in the context of affordable housing.
Yeah.
And based on the math that's associated with that. If we were to elect to, go full market rate on a handful of the apartments, then there would be much more than that.
Okay.
So we don't have a number on that. It would be the larger units priced at a higher amount, again, to generate income to help subsidize the operations for the entire property.
Well, what comes with that $1,400 price, if you will, other than electricity? I mean, is everything else community based? Is there communal bathrooms? Do they have their own bathroom?
No, all the rooms have private ensuite bathrooms. So all the bedrooms have private ensuite bathrooms. So when
What about cooking?
No, the one thing that the units don't have is they don't have their own kitchen, because it's set up as a hotel or traditionally an inn. So the rooms will be accessing a communal kitchen and a communal dining area. But when I say what does that include, I mean, all their hot water, heat, snow plowing in the winter, all the landscaping and internet access and getting anything, all the water and sewer, it's all included. So there's no additional bills that will be going to the residents.
So I am very excited about this, and I'm excited that Mr. Thorne has generally offered this piece of property at a very, very discounted rate. So thank you very much. From my experience working with Construct and the Windflower, it has been very successful. We've created a community, and we have intergenerational living, anywhere from seniors to people in their early 20s. So it's become a community. So I wish you all the luck. My one concern is about the monthly income or the monthly cost for the $1,400 rooms. And I wonder in the bigger picture if you don't have the applications for, someone willing to pay $1,400 a month for a co-living situation. Would you be looking to move more into the market rate, or what's kind of the B plan of the CDC? Because my concern is that it's quite high to have a room and not an apartment.
Well, I want to let you speak, but the rooms at the higher end of the scale, between 1,200 and 1,400 are really more one bedrooms. They're actually fairly large and they're actually quite nice, with very nice ensuite bathrooms. Well, the only thing they don't have is their own kitchen. That being said, I think, I want to be careful, I use the word market, but we're very mindful that we need to accommodate the demand that's out there. So if we have many more residents who are interested in the smaller rooms for $1,000 to $1,200, and a shortage of residents interested in those larger, slightly higher priced rooms, then we're going to figure out a way to modify that. We're not going to sort of sit there stubbornly with the empty rooms and unmet demand. So this conversation came up a great deal in the CPA discussions. Should I confuse yourself so you weren't there? But, so what we ask for is, as much as possible, flexibility on how we restrict the pricing on the rooms. And they've accommodated us by saying that 10 rooms have to be 100% AMI or below. 5 rooms are 80% to 120% AMI. And then we can use up to 3 rooms for market. And so we have a fair amount of flexibility to kind of restructure the pricing to the extent that the demand is not does not perfectly fit in, our pricing structure as it is on the spreadsheet. Because at the end of the day, we don't know exactly who wants these units and who wants to live there. We just don't know. We're not acting like we know. But we think there's everything we hear, including from very helpful conversations with Construct, is that there's a lot of demand for there, and we should fill it up.
Families able to live there?
The property is not set up to handle children. It really is not a child-friendly property. So it's really very much targeted as adults only. And the same thing as with pets. It's not set up to accommodate pets from a variety of perspectives. It's a very, it's an inn with rooms relatively tightly packed among each other. So the pets would create a lot of issues that would be really cannot accommodate.
I just want one other comment. I guess I'm a little surprised at the cost because it seems like a lot to have just a room. And I know it's paying electricity, et cetera, but it's a kitchen and you kind of like have no other space but that room. And I'm kind of like maybe a little frugal, I'll call it, not cheap, but, and this is just my opinion, it just seems like a lot to me. When I got my home, my mortgage was never that high. I have a home and it's never, I understand the situation.
We both
but
have a lot of gray hair.
yes, we do.
Lee, go ahead, and then.
Are you finished? I don't know.
I am, yes, thank you.
Ben, do you want, because I keep talking and I want to make sure.
Do you have roughly the cost of what you can expect those monthly utilities, essentially what the savings to residents would be?
Off the top of my head, I don't, but I could certainly, give you a better estimate if you'd like.
Because I do think that affects, we talked about, yes, I agree, like the number does sound high for a one bedroom, but if you incorporate the utility bill into it, it feels a little better to me.
So I think the number's a little skewed, and here's why. There are only, I'm gonna step up a limb here, but there are really only 2 rooms that might be appointed that price, because they have autonomy. First of all, you can walk right out the door, as opposed to the rooms upstairs are much more communal. And then secondary to that is the fact that they're actually suites, so it's 2 rooms. So it could act almost as an apartment if it had the sink in.
Kitchen.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but the rooms are actually, they're not the same, but there's a fairly wide spectrum of size and aesthetic quality, like David mentioned. Handful of rooms, walk out to the backyard, have their own separate entranceway. They're really more garden apartments than rooms, frankly. They just don't have the kitchen. But we can. I'm more than happy to show anyone with interest in the spectrum of rooms on a floor plan. You get a better feel for that. And I can certainly do the math and show you what we're specking out the utilities to be. And there is a significant savings relative to a more traditional apartment where all those utilities, are added onto the bill.
Lee, go ahead.
So I see that we are, so what, my question is the modification. So like say if the $1,400, the 2 rooms that are $1,400, you don't get anyone to pay that. Are there thoughts of splitting those up into make 4 rooms or, and I guess you would still be within the 20 room special.
Because of the fact there's only 1 bathroom that would service the 2 rooms.
Okay,
We had 2 bathrooms, that'd be a different story.
okay. So there's no thoughts of splitting any of the
Not
rooms
this
and making
No,
two
no.
rooms, okay. And it would be within the 20 rooms anyways in special permit, so.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
but again, I think we are very much of the mindset that we need to accommodate the demand where it is.
Okay, next, proposed conditions. 1, there be a maximum of 20 hotel rooms. 2, at least 10 of the hotel rooms shall be rented to persons or households earning no more than 100% of AMI. And the rent for those 10 units, including tenant utility costs, shall not exceed 33% of the tenant person's or household's income. Those would be the 2 conditions we would put on that. Suggested. We could have others or we could take.
So that follows the CPA.
Yeah, so exactly, and just to put some math on that, if we're assuming a single person occupancy, then 100% AMI is $71,000. And that translates into affordable monthly housing at about $1,800. So we're well below that amount.
Any other comments before we close the public hearing? Yeah, go ahead, Eric, and then Lee.
I guess, was there ever any discussion with the CPC discuss or anything about like a Great Barrington work requirement?
Yes, I think that is really our intent.
It is.
That the residents work in Great Barrington. That's been part of our, part of the business plan all along. But, we're as with all this, we'd like a little bit of wiggle room. You know, if someone's working in North Sheffield, if someone's working in, all of our adjacent towns, and that's where the demand resides, then, you know, it might, you'd like some flexibility there, but the intent is that the clear priority for all the rooms go to people who are working in Great Barrington. So that's why we've been talking to various, local Great Barrington-based businesses to basically find out how many of their employees would be interested. So we've had actually several months ago, we've had discussions with VHS to make sure that we're providing housing to their employees at Fairview if we need it. So they came on and really a sort of a sponsorship arrangement to support the project as well as get priority access for the rooms for their employees as they need them. So we've reached out recently to CHP Health in a similar way. Not asking for money, we just want to make sure that their employees are accommodated. And there are certain local businesses, some arts organizations that we want to reach out to and make sure that their employees get first crack. So yes, that's clearly the focus of the project. We're using Great Barrington's money. We want to provide Great Barrington workers with housing. That's why we're doing it. And the advantage of using the town's money and not state money and not federal money is that we have the flexibility to do that.
Let me just make a comment, not about this is kind of a commercial break. So apparently there are people online or maybe in the room who are here for the public hearing for Bear Mountain Timberland. We've already continued that to April 8th at the request of the applicant. That's what it says on the agenda. And we continued right at 6 o'clock. So if anybody's here for that, that's not going to be discussed tonight. Okay, go ahead.
So I do appreciate what you just relayed to us. But I still have, and I guess because I'm working with Windflower at the moment, one of my concerns is that if you don't get the workers, the local residents or the workers to pay, $1,200, $1,400, because a lot of the workers that are making minimum wage or $20 an hour, might not be able to afford this room. They're choosing between living on a sofa and living with their parents or paying $1,400 a room. And I really, really worry about the CDC getting the type of resident that you're hoping. So my question is that I feel like I want a little bit more confidence that it will be rented, or I shouldn't say rented, but provided to either, residents working or living in Great Barrington first. Because what I worry is that, you might get people kind of from elsewhere treating it as a place to, when they're on holiday or when they're visiting, they might have a second home and they might use this as kind of a crash pad. And I really feel we want to make sure that, workers and people that live within the region of Berkshire County are really get the first dibs, because I worry that you might not get the local residents or the workers able to afford this, and that might be kind of a catch-all that, we'll start renting it to people that are, living in New York and want a place to have on the weekend. So I guess my long-winded response is there any guarantee that we could possibly put into the special permit?
We can definitely put a condition on this. I'm not so worried about people living, because what I would say is that we can put a percentage or number of rooms that have to be for Great Barrington, people working in Great Barrington.
Yeah, we're fine with that.
Yeah, we've done that. I guess the Windflower with the ARPA funds, we have, I believe, 5 rooms for Great Barrington. So I would like to have that guarantee at
That's
least.
fine. I
built in.
undersold that in our discussion today. We're fine with that. That's been the intention all along.
Okay,
I think, I would just ask for a little bit of flexibility on that for all the reasons we've discussed, and the hypothetical being, example being, someone who's working in northern Sheffield, someone's working in northern Sheffield, and we have rooms, we'd like to accommodate that person. But that's just a hypothetical scenario that I've made up, but we're willing to work with the town and have an agreed upon minimum number of rooms for Great Barrington.
So Great Barrington workers.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a
Yeah.
second. We're gonna permit 20 rooms. That's what the conditions will say, maximum of 20. How many do we want for people who are working in Great Barrington?
Well, I would say at least half, so
Yeah.
I would probably say 6 or, more than half.
Well, half is 10.
I know, I'm just saying at least,
Yeah.
I know, that. I know, that. But I'm just saying.
I knew you knew.
I didn't speak right.
So,
Well, at least 10, maybe
Yeah.
12.
And
well, we're gonna add this to the condition, so tell me, and we'll add it right to the conditions. 10 or 12?
I would say 12.
Yeah.
I think 12 is,
Okay,
That's fine, we would hope it to be more, we would actually hope it to be 100%.
Yeah.
we would too.
Really clear, yeah.
We would too.
And everything's kind of a push and pull. We want, we'd love it to be full with Great Barrington workers, but if there's not that many there, and we have some demand in our adjacent towns, it's probably a good idea to recommend that.
Okay.
so I
But
would.
12 is fine.
Okay, and just since there's this new management company is stepping in and they haven't really worked with income qualifications and, making sure that people are of the right AMI, is there anything that we could, have some oversight that we are guaranteed that this is actually happening?
Well, we're gonna oversee it. What I would say is that the two larger property managers that have have experience with affordable housing have respectfully declined to manage this property. So, we are in a position where, we have to sort of tack to the right of it and pick someone else. So we have an experienced property manager who has, one of the owners is well-trained in income certification for affordable housing. And we'll be providing them oversight as to make sure that they do it right, and we'll be reporting to the town to make sure that we get it right. So any other oversight is certainly welcome, because we know how important that is. We
Yeah,
don't
so
wanna make a mistake.
I would like to build into the special permit that that the CDC provides the town with evidence that 12 of these rooms are rented to Great Barrington workers.
Okay, Garth.
All right. Who will be collecting the funds for when people have to pay? And is there any kind of stipulations, or do you have any way if someone doesn't pay the rent for a month, something happens to them, do they get evicted? Put someone else there? How-
Yeah, no, there will be, the property manager will be overseeing this, all the resident accounts. And a fairly, nicely functioning software setup. We'll have a protocol where if residents don't pay by probably the 10th of the month or the 15th of the month, then we'll be getting, an email from us, they'll be getting a text from us, they'll be getting a physical letter from us saying that we need to talk, we need to figure this out, do you want to continue to stay there? What's wrong? Have you lost that job that we confirmed that you had when you moved into the Thornwood? If that's the case, then let's talk about that, and what is causing you not to pay. So we'll have clear procedures for that. But, in general, this is workforce housing, so they're there because they have a job in town. If they're unemployed and can't afford to stay there, then we're gonna work with them and tell them they need to find another place to live. So, we are, be very clear, we are not set up to provide social services to individuals who are going through a life crisis, who are, sort of moving through some type of transformational period in their lives. We're approaching a bit of a different audience than some other properties in town. It's people who have jobs in town, they're just not making enough money to support what is very expensive housing during Great Barrington.
I will say that transportation, at least for the Windflower, has proven difficult, and that many residents are reliant on the micro transit. So thanks, everyone, anyone that's with the tape. So I would just make a note that your residents might be using bicycles or relying on the micro transit, and that I hope that this is facilitated.
Well, actually, the brilliance of David is that he put the Thornwood right on the main line there, so it's on the main transit line. So we have the bus, the Southern Berkshire Rapid Transit bus right there.
Will there be a stop?
There's not an official stop at the Thornwood. Historically, it is stopped there if you wait it down. But as soon as we are able to go to the state as the owner, we're going to basically put in a request that they create an official stop there. There's an official stop at CHP when you drive north. but there's not an official stop near Thornwood to go south.
So I guess my wonder with that is that you will probably get people that might not have transportation possibly to start walking along that. And that's pretty dangerous until before you get to CHP.
Yeah,
Have you thought about that or?
yeah, you can actually, at the foot of the property, cross over to the state park there. That's where the trail actually starts.
So they would have
So
to go
it's
through
just
the
above
state
CHP, it actually starts.
on the CHP. They would have to
CHP.
cross, they would
Yeah,
have to
still
cross the street.
Yes.
They would have to cross the street at CHP and then they would, okay.
And also, we're gonna provide some storage as well for bicycles and,
Okay.
anything they need to move around on.
The bus route also comes on 183 as well, doesn't it? Past Tap Farm.
That's where it comes.
That's where it comes to, right? Just so it could start.
Yeah, I think that's
Route 7.
Yeah, much safer than it's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
But I'll say to Lee's point, I mean, it's outside of whether or not this moves into this usage, that's already a concern, you know, with pedestrian and bicycle use on 183 Route 7,
Yeah.
which is, you know, something that we need to address with our transit solutions, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
and just one last
Yeah,
question,
sure.
and tagging on to what Lee said, as far as the requirements of sending reports that everything's checked up, are we talking twice a year? or-
So I wrote down every 6 months, I was gonna
6
propose
months,
that.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, it seems fine. So let's move on to the findings. Those haven't changed, so let's make a motion on the findings and then we'll talk about the vote on the actual special permit. Let's make a motion to close it.
Okay, so moved.
Do I have a second? Chris, you were gonna remind me of that, right?
I was.
Yeah. Thank you. Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. The public hearing is closed. So first we'll vote on the special permit.
Okay. I move in view of the approved findings of fact.
No.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. I
Yeah,
was running again.
could
Strike
I,
that.
could I jump in, or maybe you want to make a motion on the findings, but I just wanted to ask about the, you were talking about the number of rooms for people employed in the town, and if it meets the board's intent, I would just, rather than fix a number, that you go for a percentage of the occupied rooms. 50% of the occupied rooms shall serve people who are employed within the town, rather than say 10 or 12 rooms.
What's 12 out of 20?
So, well, I would go with 60%.
Yeah, 60%.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
Okay, thanks.
okay, so let's do the voting
Thank
on
you,
the
Chris.
findings first and then, yeah, as written, because we didn't amend the findings.
I move to approve the findings of fact for special permit 941-24 as written and referenced as Exhibit A.
That was second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, it's gonna be Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I, so what I wrote down for the third condition would be that, a minimum of 60% of the rooms must be reserved for Great Barrington workers, and that the CDC will provide the town of Great Barrington with evidence of that every 6 months. Does that work for you, Chris?
I see. Yeah, I understand. Sure, that's fine.
Okay, so do you want to make that motion?
I move in view of the approved findings of fact to approve special permit 941-24 to permit a removal. To permit a removal.
Uh-oh, let's see.
We're not taking 1 acre out of the
Yeah,
open
yeah.
space plan.
Oh,
That may have
gosh.
been the last.
My cut and paste secret is out.
Good thing that you're not here.
You only cut it half face is the problem. The cut
Dude.
we're fine.
So at the top of the page, Lee,
Okay,
so to permit a hotel use at 453 Stockbridge Road, that's all you need. With,
Permit a hotel.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
with the three conditions as discussed.
Okay. All right, I move in view of the approved findings of fact to approve special permit 941-24 to permit a hotel use at 453 Stockbridge Road, Great Barrington. With the following conditions. There shall be a maximum of 20 hotel rooms. At least 10 of the hotel rooms shall be rented to persons or households earning no more than 100% of area median income. And the rent for those 10 units, including tenant utility costs, shall not exceed 33% of the tenant's, persons, or household's income. Number 3, that 60% of the rooms are rented to Great Barrington workers. And finally, that the CDC provide evidence of Great Barrington workers every 6 months to the town.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A little discussion.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's possible to add what Lee had mentioned earlier about people maybe wanting to come up here and stay in this place for just a month or two as they're just kind of going through town and vacationing. I'd like that not to be used for that purpose. If that could be stated, I don't know how it would be stated.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, let me be clear is that we don't want people to stay in the Thornwood if that's their intent. The trick is how do you really enforce that if they're initially applying and they say, I work in town, I want to stay here for 6 months, that's my plan, got a job in town, everything works, and they just leave after a month. You can't force them to stay.
Right.
No, I think it's the opposite, what Governor telling is that
I don't
we want
like
all
that.
20 rooms, there's 20 rooms. We don't want 8 of those rooms in the summertime to be someone
That's right.
who's here to visit for the summertime as a tourist.
Correct.
That's not the point of this.
Yeah.
There will be an application process and it will include, specifying where you work.
Well, I'd like some guarantees,
Yeah.
actually, that's a good point.
Before we get to the guarantee, which I respect, I think that it's clear that our intent and our business plan is to allocate all the rooms as much as possible, to people who are working in Great Barrington. What I've asked for is just some flexibility in terms of the amount that we guarantee.
Which we gave you 60%.
Yeah, so, and again, I'm open-minded on this as to what other constraints you could put on, I'm not sure what would work.
So the fourth one could be simply that the purpose of this project is for workforce housing. And therefore, that is what we expect 100% of the rooms to be rented for, or something to that effect.
Well,
It's something to that. effect.
If people are looking to stay there just for, say, take an extreme example, they're just staying there for their summer place, right?
Yeah.
They work somewhere else. I mean, as part of their application, as Peter mentioned, we're gonna be looking to verify that they work in Great Barrington. From 2 perspectives. One, we want it to be local, but also we want to verify that they have income to pay the rate on the room. So if someone's just staying there for vacation purposes, they're not gonna comply with the requirements of our application.
so, okay, so then that brings me to the 8 rooms that we haven't put any conditions on.
Well, 40%.
Okay, the 40%, yes, thank you, the 40%, so conceivably, you know, someone could come in and use it as a stopover, you know, as a place that they seasonally use. So I would like some guarantee that, and evidence, you know, provided that none of the rooms are rented to people that don't have ties here, either through working or family.
They're passing through.
That they're not simply using it as a place.
Well, the purpose of this is for workforce housing.
Yeah, right.
So what I would say, number 4 would be something to the effect that the vetting process rules out anyone who's not working in the Southern Berkshire area.
Yeah, I would really want to tie it to that, because again, if someone wants to come to Great Barrington and work in our restaurants for the high summer season, where the restaurants are desperate for chefs and waiters, I think that's what we want to have happen.
Exactly.
So.
Does that include remote workers that, you know, work in the city?
You can
and-
be physically working.
Yeah.
In the Southern Berkshire
I
area.
never thought of that one.
I think that's important, because I think you could get people that, you know,
So,
log on and say that they're working in Great Barrington.
so we'll put that as number 4.
And I would like,
Well,
guarantee
not
rather
sure.
than,
To state.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not sure that, I don't want to speak for the applicant, but I'm not sure this is a traditional type of B&B or hotel that is advertised on, you know, hotels.com or Airbnb or you know, TripAdvisor. Is not a place where a tourist will be wanting to book a room through the Warrenwood Inn website.
That's a good point. It's just,
This is something, as I think the applicant's attorney said, there will be an application process, and maybe this is just me personally, but as a tourist, I don't think I would want to provide the place with my evidence of income. I would just give them a credit card and that would be it. So I think this is going to operate a little bit differently, and by virtue of that, would address the concern that you are getting at.
Except for the fact,
Well,
and I all
I'd like to
respectfully
see it
just,
written.
can I?
Sorry.
I respectfully disagree a little bit, because just the fact that the board of the CDC turns over, as any board does, that the person in front of us, who's a friend of mine, has the tag of interim in front of him, that in 3 years from now, no one remembers, and they decide we need some money.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks it's a good idea.
I completely agree.
That's my only point, Chris, is that I just want to make sure 4 or 5 years from now, when all of us may or may not be here, that there is something in evidence that the point of this and the reason we've given some breaks, CPA money, et cetera, is that this is workforce housing.
Agreed, and and Lee, your point, I think what I was trying to say, with respect to your request, which I totally understand, is that I want to make sure it's something that we could actually, gather information on and document. It's hard to figure out what people's intent is, or, their life plan, but we can basically ask for information and verify that they have a job in town. That's the objective information that we can work off of. So I'd like to keep it to that as much as possible.
Yeah, so I guess my concern is, with construct, it's, on our staff, we go through the applications and we personally vet that people are, as they say. And because we have a new Berkshire property managers that have never really done in this, in this realm of affordable housing or workforce housing, dealing with actually going through income restrictions, making sure they actually work in great parenting, that there's an opportunity that things might fall through the cracks. And before we know it, someone's renting it as an Airbnb, and, we're losing sight of really what happens. And I really think that I am aware of a hotel or a motel in town that does advertise, with Airbnb or VRBO, although that they are a hotel and motel. So I would feel better if we protect the town to make sure that this is in place somehow in the special permit.
Just point out, the CPA grant has the income limitations and requires a restriction to be put on the property.
Yep.
So there is
For
an
the,
assurance
for
that.
the 50%, I'm just saying for the rest.
So let's try to put a number
Yeah.
4 on this.
Yeah, yeah.
Move ahead. That number 4 is you want to try?
Is it number 5, actually? 1, 2.
No, because
Oh, that's right, 'cause I did.
Oh, I had reporting as number 4, but.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was part of the same
Yes,
one. Okay, so number
Oh,
5.
okay.
Okay. So would it be, and I'm just gonna draft it, but would it be that 100% of the rooms are guaranteed not, how would be the best way to say this? The entirety of rooms
The intention is
have provided evidence to the town that,
not to the town, to the,
well, will be,
eventually to us, but not, I mean, we're not gonna micromanage this.
okay, the entirety of the rooms will be rented. And you're saying rented, right? You're not saying, there's an agreement, like you're saying rented? Is that the term that you're using? Yeah.
So it's really
Because I know-
a resident agreement.
Yeah, so it's fine to say rented, okay. So something that, the entirety of the rooms, will be rented to,
People working.
residents.
People working in Southern
In
Berkshire.
Southern Berkshire.
Yeah.
Okay, so moved.
Chris, does that work?
I think I understand the intent. I don't know how you define Southern Berkshire, so maybe you just want to say Berkshire County.
Yeah,
Okay,
to Berkshire County.
so that's the motion. Do I have a second? I'll second that. Garfield's back. Good. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Application from the Mahawi Performing Arts Center for a new all alcoholic license at 20 Castle Street, Great Barrington. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Roll call vote. Ben?
Aye.
Garfield?
Aye.
Eric? Aye. Lee?
Aye.
And I. Explanation of the project, please.
Yeah. My name is Vicky Donahue. I'm attorney at Canterbury Myers here on behalf of the Mahawi. Actually, the applicant full name is the Mahawi Performing Arts Center, Inc. And it's the same Mahawi, which is right across the street, and has a separate existing liquor license for the large theater, as everyone is aware. This liquor license that's before you tonight is for the premises at 20 Castle Street, also across the street. Great location in terms of synergy for the Mahawi. And this space is going to be rented. We included in the package the form of lease, the lease that's been signed with Castle Street Firehouse LLC, which is the owner of the premises. So the lease premises is comprised of 2,253 square feet. And it's on the west, 2 days on the west side of the building. And the format here is slightly different, well, in terms of size and the type of permits. From what is currently offered at the Mahawi, it's still going to be a theater space, which is only one space. And it'll be used for performances and events with varied seating formats. I think that's probably what you'll see is a little bit different from a lot of the licenses that come before you. And I think I should probably stop here and say, Janice Martinson is the executive director at Mahawi and is also going to be the manager in terms of the liquor license. Did you want to let folks know who is with us?
Come right up to the microphone, please.
Thank you for entertaining our application. I am here with 4 board members, 3 of whom are Great Barrington property owners, 2 of whom I think volunteer on town committees. I'm here with a board chair, Margaret Deutsch, in the back, and then in the second row, we have Sheila Plum, Connie Chen, and Abby Schroeder with us tonight.
Do I have public comments to speak in favor or opposition? I'm not seeing any public comments. Question from the select board.
So is my understanding that it's essentially operating like a black box theater space, so you can reconfigure the space as needed?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the 3 layouts, then we have the first one, which is this as number 2 MPAC Firehouse. And so that has all of the people seated.
I don't think I have that.
That wasn't
Oh, you didn't get the plans.
No.
Oh, that's in the application. Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, I think we just got the application,
Okay.
happy addendum.
So
I can make some copies if that's.
you want to do that? I think that would be good.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, and thank you for mentioning that. That would be very helpful for you. So we'll bring those in. So what we really have is we have 3 seating formats. We have one that, as it says on the application, one for table seating, and that has for up to 96 persons. There's 80 in the theater space, and then 16 that's in the basement. And then row seating, which for people to sit. You'll see on the plan that the stage is up on one end, and the seating will be around that. So the row seating is up to 116 people, 100 in theater space, and the 16 in this adjacent room. And then standing only, which is 208 people maximum. And all of these layouts in the maximum seating, everything in terms of the build out of the spaces, sometimes with code, with an architect and an engineer who has covered all of that, so.
And that's all in just the ground floor, is that?
No, there's only 2 bases of the ground floor.
So 208 people, huh?
Yeah, so, and that's the maximum based upon, what the fire code will allow. Okay. So now that you have these. So the first sheet that has number 2 in the bottom right Then you'll see that it says all on the left-hand side of the sheet, that's the exterior bay. Then you have, all seated, so just for orientation purposes, then, when you have the seats here, then this is the bay that's on this side of the street, okay, so this would be kind of like this. So here's the first bay, and then the middle bay, so you'll see that there's the stage is in the back of this one, and then it shows in these, we can go through them, the different, seating or attendance, format. And then in the center section, then it has, the area where, there's gonna be the bar and the service, during the various performances. In the back, then, you have the access to the back corridor, which goes to the bathrooms, which service, visible as well. And then you'll see on the front, and in the center, then there's the access, in from the street and then across. And then there's the exit out the back, and then there's also an emergency exit where it says all seated. So this first format is number one on the application, which is for 80 persons, and it's actually 80 in the seated area where it has the table set up. And then there's room for another 16 to sit around the corner. Not sure how many people will, because they won't have the view of the stage, but there's certainly, we want to cover it in the event that someone comes in and actually does sit in that area. The next one is it's sheet number 3, shows the stage again in the same place. And then it has row seating, the traditional row seating that we have in the theater space. And then also the seats that are on the other side. And then the third format, still the same stage, but this is, has some seating around. But for all standing, it's 140 persons in the main area. And then there's potential for 68 people to stand in the center area where the setup is for refreshments. So those are the 3 formats that we have.
Is the intention to use this just for the Mahawi, or will this be rental for other events other than Mahawi events?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Want me to stand up there?
Yes.
No, you need to come up with them. You can stay up there, yeah, that's fine.
Yes, we'll be renting it as well.
Okay, that's what I assumed.
And really, this is about our leaning into wanting to do more for the community and for educational purposes and civic engagement kinds of things that don't fit well in a fixed seat rate proscenium arch, 650 seat space. And this will give us a lot more flexibility to do that kind of thing.
Lee and then Eric.
So in all transparency, I worked for the Mahawi for 5 years and had a wonderful time, and I'm thrilled you guys are doing this. I know this is something we've had our eye on, or at least when I was working there, when Janice, you came on, that was always kind of a gem that I think, what I remember is the Mahawi was hoping to get it. So I think this is wonderful for the community, and I look forward to having another event space in downtown Barrington. So thank you for the board for pushing this through. I know this was probably a big lift. So I just wanted to say that, so I didn't have anything else to say, except yay.
Eric?
Yeah, not knowing any of it, I'm just excited for it as well. Having any more live music or performing arts or anything in the town, and then just the firehouse that was on the brink of falling in on itself being used for this sort of purpose. You know, and the gentleman that has, or the team that has remodeled it and everything, I think this is a big win for the town, and excited to go to more performances right in the center of Great Barrington, so I appreciate that.
Ben?
I echo everything that Lee and Eric just said, and just small question, so the bar is a permanent fixture, right, that will not change, because that will, yeah.
Correct.
Great. And do you have a bar manager that will kind of be overseeing operations for this?
So this is really not going to be operating as a bar. This is a concession space for when we do performance. And we'll do it the way we do concessions now. Everybody who works concessions for us is tips trained. And then we have a house manager who has an extensive career history working in food service.
Yeah, so it all kind of fall under the umbrella. Great.
Anyone else? You have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second. Roll call. Ben?
Aye.
Garfield?
Aye.
Eric? Lee?
Aye.
And I. Select board discussion.
Yay.
Do I
Sorry.
do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant the Mahawi Performing Arts Center a new all alcoholic license at 20 Castle Street in Great Barrington.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Matt.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. Good luck to you. This is
Thank you
exciting for
very much.
downtown.
Thank you.
Yes, very exciting for downtown. Okay. Citizens speak, a couple disclaimers here. One is, we will not entertain any discussion on any special permits that are coming before us. We never do, with the advice of council. Any discussion on special permits must happen during the public hearing process. Secondly, there will be no, I will allow comments on litigation coming before the town. So please note that the board will neither comment on nor answer questions about pending litigation involving the town. So having said that, start with Charlie's iPad. Charlie, state your name and address for the record, please. Just unmute yourself. Yep.
Okay, can hear me. All right. Charles
We
Williamson,
can.
Charles Williamson, 48 Blue Hill Road. You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. First question is here. I got two questions, but the first one here is I'd like the town, I know you don't have the answers right there. If you could mail me the information. And the first one is on illegal immigrants. I'd like to know the number of illegal immigrants we have in town. And I'd also would like to know the number of illegal immigrants that are going to school. This next question
Anything else,
is,
Tom?
pardon?
Anything else?
Yes. The VFW, the low income, the same question. Total number of occupants and total number of children going to school. And then here's the final one. Of the total, I'd like to know how many number of teachers have been added to our school system, and also how many teachers' aides have been added to this because
So Charlie, let me just tell you, anything to do with the school, you'd have to contact the school, either the school committee or Peter Dillon, because the town doesn't have those numbers.
okay, I will do that.
Yeah,
Now-
and then we'll try to figure out the rest.
And this is the second question, not question, but a suggestion, because I bring it up numerous times about the taxes in Barrington. It's getting unbearable. As a senior, I pay for a lot of stuff here, but when you take things off the tax roll, I was just thinking about the old firehouse. You took that off the tax roll for 10 years. At least you put a number on there. I would like to see you not take them off the tax roll and reduce their taxes to 30% of the value. So they're getting two free years, no tax, and they're paying like one. So they're paying for 1 year a tax for every 3 years, and put up for 15 years maximum. And then they go back on the tax roll 100%. Because with this low income housing for workers, which I don't have a problem with, you've taken them off the tax roll. So 30 years from now, are they still off the tax roll? It should be.
Thank you, Charlie.
Pardon?
It makes sense. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Did you want to speak?
Is this citizen speak?
Yes.
I was watching the agenda and was,
Well, we moved around a little bit tonight, so name and address, please.
thank you. My name is, excuse me, my name is Stephen White. I live at 5 Thrushwood Lane. And I'm here with my neighbor, Myron Balchuk of 23 Burning Tree Road. We are here representing the residents of the Barrington Brook development adjacent to Christian Hill Road. There are currently 36 completed tax-paying homes, with 2 under construction and nearly finished, and 3 more about to start. There is a total of 24 registered voters in this development, and collectively, we are contributing about $500,000 in property taxes to the town. We're here to request that the town begin providing snow plowing services on Burning Tree Road, Londonderry Drive, and Thrushwood Lane starting next winter. I have discussed this proposal through email with Joseph Aberdale, the DPW superintendent, and he has informed me that Mark Gransky is aware of the request. We note that there are now at least 16 private roads that the town plows, so we are not asking for anything that is unprecedented. And we respectfully ask that this proposal be placed on the agenda of the next select board meeting. And we would further appreciate any guidance that you could give us concerning any next steps that we need to take.
So the only thing I would say, may not be the next meeting, but it will be placed well before winter. And we will work on by the recommendation of Joe, if there's any conditions that we need to put on it.
Great.
So,
Could I ask a question?
yes,
Would this be something that you would act on, or would it have to go to a town meeting?
Maintenance, I believe the select board has the.
yeah, we would.
I see. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Let's see. Eileen, you had your hand up. It's not up anymore. Oh, it's up again. Eileen, go ahead. The news guy.
Wondered if I should wait until media speak.
It's okay.
Okay. I was wondering whether the agenda for the annual town meeting, excuse me, is going to include any article regarding Housatonic Water Works.
We are still, the answer is no, the short answer. We're still waiting for the DPC report, which we knew would take up to 6 months. It's working on the financial study. There'll be a public presentation of the report. And more than likely, when the time comes, if the time comes for us to go to a town meeting, it won't be at the annual town meeting, it'll be a special town meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Select board time. Yeah,
Not for me.
Garfield.
Nothing.
Nothing, thank you.
Please. I just have one thing, just a clarification. We can't talk about executive session with Housatonic Water Works, but I just want to explain one thing in the process. There are a total of 4 full status interveners with the state right now. The towns of Great Barrington, Stockbridge, and West Stockbridge, and the 4th being the Attorney General's office. And there is no one else who can say that they are an intervener, whether person or town. Those are the 4 legal interveners. So if anyone else is telling you they're an intervener, they are not. So I just want to make sure so that there's no false information that's out there. Media time. Yeah, go ahead.
What is media?
If you have any, your media, so you qualify. If you have any questions,
Yeah, yeah.
come to the microphone.
No.
Just, we'll see. Okay. By unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.